MoneyGram has doubled down on XLM, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this. MoneyGram makes stablecoins the backbone of its next generation app. You want to know what make up the vertebrae to that backbone? USDC, Stellar, and Crossmint, ladies and gentlemen. This means Stellar will make up the backbone of MoneyGram, a mainstream application's next generation payments app. It's going to launch in Colombia first, and we'll dig more into the details. But I think this is further evidence that Stellar is the premier blockchain when it comes to mainstream retail finance. And Meridian, this is a yearly conference that Stellar holds. And every year over the last few years, we've gotten announcements on this scale. And this is just day one. And this particular story didn't even come from Meridian. MoneyGram will be in attendance for day two. And according to the analyst at the CoinDesk desk, they say there will be even bigger announcements tomorrow. I'm personally rooting for that Paxos non-objection letter to drop their entire suite of stablecoins on Stellar. But only time will tell. Can't wait to share with you what else they let slip at Meridian this year. If you're new, welcome. You're listening to another edition of DHN Crypto. My name is Wade. If you want to study crypto without all the noise, get more crypto intel, check out my website, digitalhustlenetwork.net. So the biggest thing outside of MoneyGram will lead into MoneyGram. We'll have to start with Ondo Finance, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to pull up the X post because, as you just saw, as an American citizen, we can't touch these. But that's fine. I think in the future, regulations will address that and we'll be able to invest in these products. Nevertheless, though, top tier RWA player Ondo Finance has launched its flagship yield coin on Stellar USDY. So, those who can invest in USDY, you have another network in which to transact on. And even though we can't go over to the blog post, we can't even read the blog, Ondo. That's a bit rude, but we can go over to rwa.xyz and get an idea of how big this product really is. Total asset value, $690 million. Slight bump over the last 30 days. Holders north of 15,000, so this looks good. They're getting an APY of 4.2%, so that's a pretty good deal. Getting further into it, you can see the networks that currently dominate the offering. Obviously, Ethereum and Solana are at the top. That shows us these are the go-to right now when it comes to these new RWAs that are hitting the market. Obviously, Stellar, thanks to Franklin Templeton and Wisdom Tree, they're now starting to attract more RWA products from the premier players in the space. So Stellar will join the ranks of Ethereum, Solana, Mantle, Sui, Noble, Aptos, Arbitrum, and Mantra, who support USDY. And I was fishing around on rwa.xyz just to get a little bit more details. And you can see here, eligible investors, non-US investors. That is something that a lot of networks need to really clarify. I'll just leave it at that. But you can see down here, it's a Stellar asset contract. So that verifies that this is legitly on the Stellar chain. You can also see the address and you can view it on Stellar Expert. Stellar addresses usually start with that letter G and they're all caps. Just, make note of that. Right now, token supply, 559,881. So numbers are modest, but this just launched. We already got 6 holders. Could only imagine who they are. Further you get down on this particular web page, they tell you the distribution of the top 25 holders and the combined total of the remaining holders. So the top 7 holders, I would average that out because holder 1 and holder 2 are sitting at 68.9 million, 68.6 million respectively, while holders 3 through 7 are all sitting at around 30 million. So we can average this out to be 45ish million in the top 25, with about 119 in the remaining of that 25. And when you go over to this left side here, you'll see the networks that are really running the most volume. And no surprise, Ethereum, Solana are at the top of the list. I love looking at these numbers that RWA gives us. And you can see here the custodian, Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC. Not entirely familiar with that name. Could be related to Morgan Stanley. Somebody can look that up for us. But props to Ondo. More props to Stellar. And the RWA expansion did not stop there, ladies and gentlemen. Centrifuge, is bringing its DE RWA product over to Stellar. Centrifuge, the leading platform for tokenized real-world assets, announced the upcoming launch of DE RWA, beginning with DEJTRSY, the DeFi version of the Janus Henderson short-term U.S. Treasury strategy, and the DeFi version of AAA-rated CLO strategy. The two funds will debut with a $20 million anchor investment, underscoring strong institutional demand for yield-bearing real-world assets. So I'm going to go ahead and assume this will be another one that us here in the United States can't touch right now. But again, further evidence of just how powerful Stellar is becoming in the world of RWAs. They give us details on who's going to start this initiative on Stellar. Names that we're very familiar with: Aquarius, SoroSwap, Blend, DeFi Index. They will be participating from day one, as they describe here. So Centrifuge has had a pretty interesting history. There was a guy by the name of Chico Crypto back in the day. He was the first one who ever mentioned Centrifuge. So that's how I know the name. But now they have appeared to pivot, because they were heading in the direction of DePIN or Web3 or something crazy like that. But to see them sitting here in the RWA space and bringing in Stellar to the party, you can't be disappointed with that. And you can't also be disappointed with this statistic here. Stellar ranks number 2 globally in tokenized treasuries and recorded 4.2 billion in quarterly RWA payment volume, reinforcing the network's leadership in tokenized yield-bearing assets. So Centrifuge is only going to take this to the next level. In addition, we got more announcements, and we even got video for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's got a particular story. I'll full screen it here before I play it. But when I was looking at the guest list, we brought this up, I want to say about a week ago, and they mentioned something about Meridian Pay. What did I say, guys? I hadn't heard of this. What will this be? Is this a new payment application? Well, I'll just let Danielle Dixon take it from here.
This is the part that we're talking about new products. I'm excited to unveil the latest design. We've talked about blueprints, principles, and foundations. Now it's time to see what gets built when you start with the right design first. The first ever Stellar Smart Wallet, built by SDF and Cheesecake Labs, to be showcase what's possible on Stellar. A production-ready wallet that isn't just limited for use here at Meridian. It's bringing to life Stellar's full capabilities in one seamless experience, and a framework for anyone in this audience and beyond to build upon. A smart wallet for the full Meridian experience. You can redeem conference swag, you can collect NFTs, you can purchase items, and you can interact with the ecosystem. And just moments ago, everyone in this audience was invited to claim 500 XLM, about $200 to 200 US dollars, in their Meridian Pay wallet. So you guys should take a look now.
Yes, she did. She did just drop 200 XLM, $200 worth of XLM in everyone's wallets, and they didn't even know it. I wish I could have been there, man. I really wish I could have been in attendance. Dream come true. But this Meridian Pay, will be the first ever smart wallet built by SDF and Cheesecake Labs. Now, Cheesecake Labs, longtime partner of Stellar, they particularly focus on the development side of things. So if you want to build a sleek looking app with a clean interface that's simple to understand on the blockchain, that's what Cheesecake Labs are here for. And when you really think about it, let's scroll through their site a little bit, kind of see what they got going on here. User interface in the Web3 space is one of the biggest problems. It's one of the biggest problems. So all of these gals and guys here came together with one mission to address that. And they're already working with the leaders in the industry. MoneyGram, as you can see here, Stellar. They have a few other partners as well. I've heard their name outside of the Stellar ecosystem. But shout out to Cheesecake Labs for helping Stellar bring this to the market. We will definitely hear more details about Meridian Pay, I'm sure. But let's jump to the main event here, guys. Let's dive into this. MoneyGram making stablecoins the backbone of its next generation application. So we're launching in Colombia first. And like I mentioned, Circles USDC and the Stellar blockchain in collaboration with CrossMint will be supporting this. So customers in Latin America, in the Latin American country of Colombia, where MoneyGram has an extensive retail network of over 6,000 locations, will be the first to use the new app and receive and store stablecoin payments, with plans to expand to traditional or additional markets in the future. Colombia is the ideal market, says MoneyGram CEO Anthony Suhu. It's a major inbound remittance corridor where families receive more than 22 times the money they send abroad, where the Colombian peso has lost over 40% of its value over the past 4 years. I can only imagine what that must be like, living in a country where the dollars in your pocket don't matter. Essentially, the dollars don't make sense. Not to make light of the situation, because it's a very serious situation. But every time I read a story like this, it reminds me of why I'm still here, man. Because I want to see this problem solved. I really do. Because, like I said, I can only imagine what it would be like. And then I pair that with some of the financial challenges that I experience with the US dollar, and some of you may have experienced with the US dollar, or lack that of, right? So, outside of the money and the price action, guys, y'all know I'm always going to point out the human element. So, going deeper when it comes to the advancement of stablecoins, Suhu compares this to other killer apps such as the spreadsheet, which drove an adoption for the early PC era, or what the browser did for the internet, GPS for mobile phones. If you don't know, the relationship between Stellar and MoneyGram goes back years, dates back to 2023, ladies and gentlemen. No, 2021. I read the updated portion. That's on me. I was going to say, no, it didn't. 2021. Yeah, we were there. I actually made a piece on the formation of the relationship. It's like an edited, animated piece. It's pretty cool. I'll probably share it in the community tab. I have something else to share with you guys, though, at the end here. It's a bit of a surprise from one of us in the Stellar community, so stick around for that. But the relationship goes back years, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to dig deeper into the partnership, just look up MoneyGram Access. It was the first application that they built alongside Stellar, and it has served millions of people very well already. And ever since, they have just built and built and built on top of it. Now, this article here tells us a little bit about CrossMint. They raised 23.6 million in funding led by Ribbit Capital, with additional participation from Franklin Templeton, Nika, First Round, and Lightspeed. So you can see the synergy there in the relationships. Franklin Templeton obviously knew a thing or two about CrossMint, and through their connections at SDF, they dropped that word in someone's ear. That's how I assume that these things went. So CrossMint in particular is a blockchain infrastructure firm helping companies build on-chain applications. The company aims to simplify blockchain adoption by enabling companies to integrate wallets, tokenization, and payments with minimal code. They're also building a framework for AI-driven commerce, providing wallets and payments APIs for AI agents. Man, that's a perfect segue into this story here. Then I'm going to layer over top. That's it for the Meridian announcements as far as day one goes. But I was reading into a story yesterday that I felt I was surely going to share with y'all today, regardless of what they gave us at Meridian. And CrossMint just led us right on into it. So what am I talking about here? Google. It's announcing, they just announced, Agent Payments Protocol. What do you think these are, folks? AI agents. Okay? AI agents is becoming a very popular thing right now. Very popular thing. But this isn't a direct connection between Google and Stellar, at least not on the surface. What stood out to me was the diverse group of more than 60 organizations that they recruited to help shape the future of agentic payments. All right? These names include American Express, Ant International, Coinbase, MasterCard, Miston Labs. Shout out to the people at SWE. PayPal. I don't need to go further, but I will. Salesforce, ServiceNow, shout out HBAR, UnionPay International, WorldPay, and many more. And much like when we get these press releases, folks, they clearly state that they're going to expand to other participants as market demand increases. Now, I'll leave you to really chew on this particular article. You can find it at Google Cloud blog. It'll be the main article. They made sure everyone saw this. But what stands out to me the most, when Google drops something like this, look at that. Wow. Accenture, Adobe, Cloudflare, Intuit. If you're not looking at the screen, we have just pulled up the full current list of initial participants here. D-Local, CrossMint. Whoa. Well, would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen? LightSpark. That's a Bitcoin Lightning company. Brought them up not too long ago. SoFi is working with them. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. I just checked my timer. We're approaching 20 minutes. I'm going to cut it here, but I just need to tell you. Watch out for what Google is doing, ladies and gentlemen. It feels as though they're sneaking up in the background. Look at MetaMask. Ethereum Foundation. Yeah, so there's crypto all over this. There's crypto all over these things. So, keep your eyes open for what Google Cloud is doing. And I can tell you, D-Local, CrossMint, if we see them names there, PayPal, MasterCard, it'll only be a matter of time. Maybe even tomorrow, Stellar will be in this situation as well. So, with that, guys, I want to share something with you from the Stellar community. Okay? It's a fellow artist here, Rebus of the Matrix, and his record, Phoenix on the Ledger. All right? Now, I don't want to play the whole record because I don't want to give it away. And I'm seeing that the rate cut decisions are going live. So I'll run a few seconds while I check and see what this decision is going to be.
From the breach, 2914 light leak. Jed left, Ripple with a mission unique. Forked from the chains, but rewrote the book. Now still is that fire with a softer look. Danelle on the mic with the UN online. Universal rails, cross-border design. Non-profit heart with the capital plan. But don't get it twisted, it's a master brand. XLM flying through the IMF streams like that 1988 Economist meme. Phoenix in gold with the flames in the skies. That's Stella beneath it. Open your eyes. Phoenix on the ledger, wings made of code. Soroban spells in a multi-chain mode.
All right, now he about to go in, so I had to pause it right there. Plus, we did get a cut, ladies and gentlemen. So if you stuck around to the end, you just got some breaking news. Federal Reserve cuts rates by 25 basis points. This is what was expected. So I have the chart here. Let me hit the good refresh and see the reaction in the markets. I was looking at the long-term picture on XLM earlier today. XLM is already up 1.3%. XDC is pushing 1.2%. Flare is up strong, 5%. Bitcoin hasn't turned the corner yet, but it's only down 0.5%. As the news rolls out, oh yeah, by the time you see this video, markets are going to be in a much better place. So glad I bought more XLM this morning. With that, y'all, that's all I got for this one. Again, if you want more crypto intel, don't forget to check out digitalhustlenetwork.net. And as always, y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.